folks, welcome to Thinking Theology. I'm Don. I don't take a dogmatic stance on anything. This is not a channel about establishing theology. It's just talking about theological topics, pro or con. And one guy in particular was saying how the name of the Thinking Theology is an oxymoron. And it's like, no, it's not, because it's simply, you've got to state what the points are if you're going to refute them. That's simple. So I'm not refuting theology. I'm not refuting atheism. I'm not supporting theology, religion, a belief in God. I'm not going against it either. Now, too, just once in a while, I guess I'll do this now. I just thought of it before sitting down on set, but I finished reading this book, Losing the Nobel Prize. It was written by Brian Keating, and he's the one who lost the Nobel Prize. He was kind of up for it, but then some of his research on looking into the cosmic background, microwave background radiation and B-mode polarities and such. It's a fascinating account. It's a fascinating account of his search, how he got funding and, to do this sort of stuff, and how he came close to winning the Nobel Prize. But then it turned out that there's interstellar dust that sort of mimicked the background microwave radiation and the polarity. And anyway, James Webb Space Telescope might be, I'm sure it is, finding out things that he wasn't able to find. But it was a fairly recent account of it. So anyway, if you're into cosmology, Stephen Hawking'S was a cosmologist and a physicist, theoretical physicist. So that's what made me think of the book. Anyway, let's see what Stephen Hawking has to say.
Became clear something was not quite right with me. I fell over and had great difficulty getting up again. My mother realized something was wrong and took me to the doctor. I spent weeks in Bart's hospital and had many tests. They never actually told me what was wrong, but I guessed enough to know it was pretty bad. In fact, the doctor who diagnosed me washed his hands of me, and I never saw him again. He felt that there was nothing that could be done. At first I became depressed. I seemed to be getting worse pretty rapidly. There didn't seem any point working on my PhD, because I didn't know if I would live long enough to finish it. I had come to Cambridge to do cosmology, and cosmology I was determined to do. Then the condition developed more slowly, and I began to make progress in my work. After my expectations had been reduced to zero, every new day became a bonus, and I began to appreciate everything I did have. And there was also a young woman called Jane, whom I had met at a party. Getting engaged lifted my spirits, and I realized, while there's life, there is hope. There are many ambitious experiments planned for the future. We will map the positions of billions of galaxies, and we will better understand our place in the universe. But we must also continue to go into space for the future of humanity. I don't think we will survive another 1,000 years without escaping beyond our fragile planet. It has been a glorious time to be alive, doing research in theoretical physics. The fact that we humans, who are ourselves mere collections of fundamental particles of nature, have been able to come this close to an understanding of the laws governing us and our universe is a great triumph, and I'm happy if I have made a small contribution. I want to share my excitement and enthusiasm about this quest. So remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see, and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious. And however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't just give up. While there's life, there is hope.
Yeah, that wasn't theological per se. It wasn't not theological per se, because whenever we look at the size of the universe, for some it means, oh, look at what God made. And for others, it's like, How could you think that we're the only ones in the universe and that Genesis, the book of the Bible in Genesis, applies only to us, for example, and therefore these writings are just antiquated accounts of trying to make sense of where we are before they knew, and we, mankind, knew how big the cosmos was and is. So everything has theological implications in that regard, depending on where you come from. For me, I just have fun with it. But as long as you have life, there is hope on a certain level. In Stephen Hawking's case, the next discovery or the next moment of joy or something to that effect. But you just feel so bad for him. I do. And he might not have liked that, because some folks who are suffering don't like it because it feels like it's pity. But no, you can feel bad that somebody's debilitated, that doesn't have the ambulatory apparatus, that they can't walk, that they need as much help, that they're not self-governing in a sense. But on the other hand, when you look at what he accomplished with his mind or his brain, depending on which word you like better, it's absolutely astounding that he was just able to focus on his work, possibly because there were fewer distractions. But he did say a very funny thing. I saw an interview of him once, some years back, and he said, like, of all the mysteries of the universe, the greatest one I can tell you is trying to figure out a woman. I was like, yeah, man. So we have that in common. But anyway, I figured out part of them and I still don't. But whatever. So I just wanted to see what Stephen had to say about that. And you heard it the same as me. The cosmos is relative to us, and every statement we make in this regard is a relative statement. The universe is a huge enterprise. Now, is there some other being or some other thing that would say the universe that we know is a small enterprise or is almost irrelevant because it's so large? It could be out there. That's why I leave the door open. There are just so many things that we don't know. That's why I say, epistemologically, I can't say that there's no God. I can't say that there is one. We have our own beliefs. We have our own thresholds of proof. We have our own premises that we plug into our arguments, so to speak, the bases of our arguments and reasons for our beliefs. And fair enough. Some people say there's inconclusive proof. They don't believe us. Other folks are so bold as to say there absolutely is no God. But then you listen to a guy like Christopher Hitchens, who has a fairer position on that, is that we can't say that for sure. We don't know. There might be one out there. I'm just not convinced that there's one paying any attention to us. And I understand that argument quite well. It makes sense to me. Making claims like, I know this, I know that. I think we would get along a lot better if we couched it as, I believe this, I believe that. That's unassailable. And nobody could tell me what I believe or don't believe. I can't tell you or anyone else. You believe something, you believe it. When you say you know it, it's like, well, then you're on different ground where it's like, all right, there's some external truth to this thing that sort of is imposing itself upon the order of things. Might turn out to be wrong. Anyway, that's enough musings for this one, guys. And that's it. Subscribe if you haven't. That'd be great. I want to sort of increase the civility with which we discuss issues relating to the cosmos. It always comes down to, in some way, the cosmos. Belief in God, lack of belief in God. You can't refute something unless you posit what you're refuting. And that's the impetus of the name of the channel, Thinking Theology. You can't discuss something unless you say it. To say it, you got to be thinking it. Doesn't mean you believe it. Anyhow, all right, guys, have a great day. See you on another video and keep thinking theology.